Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel that is Science Unlocked, and today we will going to look into a new topic that is based on the concept of soil and rock. Now out of these two topics of soil and rock, we will going to first of all look into the concept of soil. And what exactly is the soil which we are referring to? It is basically the uppermost layer of the earth, means the topmost layer of the earth, and this particular layer is considered as the best natural resource that we have. And the reason behind this is that it helps in two major processes, that is growth of different kinds of plants, whereas habitation for different kinds of insects as well as animals, microorganisms. For example, if we talk about worms, if we talk about different kinds of microorganisms, if we talk about squirrels which will going to make their proper house by digging out the area from a region and making the houses, then we have ants in the same category. So these two processes of growth of plants and different kinds of organisms is only taking place because of the soil and the uppermost layer of the earth. Now this particular process of growth of plants and animals in the soil has direct relation with the growth of animals, because they are going to have direct as well as indirect relation with the human survival. Now the question comes that what exactly soil is made up of? Soil is made up of major five components, that is, it is going to be sand, which is the particle of the soil, the organic matter, which is the living component of the soil, which can be present in two forms, that is, it can be in the form of dead form, it can be in the form of living form. Now, what is the difference? For example, if a particular leaf which is separated from the tree or a particular plant, then in that case, it is the dead living part of the nature. Similarly, if a particular organism is already dead and is under the process of decaying on the soil, then it is again considered as the dead part of the living organism. Similarly, we have different kinds of living organisms as well. So, they are going to collectively make up the organic matter of the soil. Third part is the minerals, which are going to ultimately decide the property of a particular soil. Now you must be thinking that how come it can decide the property of a particular set of soil. Now you know that we have different kinds of soil: red soil, black soil, alluvial soil, clay, sand. So what is the difference? The difference is that the mineral content in them is differing. And of course we have some other factors as well, which are the next two factors, that is the air, water. But at the very same time, what happens is, like, we can simply say that these five components are collectively making a specific kind of soil. But out of all the five characters that we have decided that they will going to compose the soil, out of them the minerals is the one which will going to decide the property or character of the soil. Now, in most of the cases, you will observe the similar kind of structure over here, where the soil is divided into different layers. But this particular part is related with the higher studies. So, we have to stick to the basic definition, that what exactly is it made up of. Obviously, all the different kinds of layers that we are seeing over here are made up of these components only, but the only difference is that every layer has the specific percentage and presence over there. That is why they have different names and different roles to play. Now the next thing comes, that how exactly soil is formed. So this process is known as withering, means the process where the soil will be formed. Now the question comes that what exactly withering process is? It is the process where the bigger rocks will going to break down and will going to turn themselves into smaller particles, which will be considered as soil. That means we can say that withering process is nothing but breaking down of rocks into tiny particles, which are known as soil, and this process will going to help in the formation of soil. Now what happens is, in major reference, there are three categories under which the withering process is divided. out of which the first one is the physical process, then we have chemical process, and then we have biological process. So let's get into all the three categories in detail. The first one is the physical process of withering. Now, in this case, the mechanical action or mechanical forces are involved, or you can say technically we can also add up to this thing that it will going to be the direct experience of the rock which it will going to sense or experience from the nature. For example, it can be the temperature change, it can be the formation of ice in the rock because of which the expansion and contraction of rock is taking place. It could be the direct contact of rock with water, or let us say the wind, because of which the whole withering process is taking place. Apart from this, it could be the simple collision of two or more rocks as well, which is also known as abrasion, where the two so the two different kinds of rocks which are colliding with each other, they will going to have friction on the surface, resulting into the whole process of withering. So that is what the physical withering is all about. Next we have is chemical withering. Now, in case of chemical withering, one thing we have to keep in mind is that nature itself is made up of different kinds of chemicals. So when these particular chemical arrangement or combinations, reactions will going to change, eventually there will be change in the chemical makeup of different material that we are referring to. So, in case of rocks also, when we say that the rocks are being converted into soil because of the chemical withering, that simply means that it is actually the change in the chemical makeup of the rock, which can be taking place because of water, because of air, because of some sort of microorganism, and also because of the different kinds of gases and chemicals which are present in the nature. Now, one thing to be taken care of is, over here it will not going to be like this, that the process will always going to be taking place on the surface of the rock. It can take place anywhere inside the rock. That is why over here we see this particular spongy like structure, which is looking like as if the process is taking place randomly inside the rock. So that is why we can say that it is the chemical process, where it will actually going to result in the change in the makeup of the rock. Now, when we move to the next thing, that is the next process of withering, which is the biological withering. So as the name is itself is suggesting, that over here some sort of life will be incorporated or involved in the process. So which are the different kinds of things which we can see over here? It can be a microorganism, it can be a plant, which will going to result in the breakdown of rocks. Eventually what will happen, the huge chunks of rock will going to split or may be divided, or you can say will be withered into different sizes of small rocks, and eventually the powdered soil, that we generally say that yes, soil is being formed. So what happens is, there are different things which are involved over here. It can be a microorganism like algae, it can be the plant itself, it can be because of some sort of animal who is using the soil or that particular area for making its house, because while burrowing it will going to scratch certain rocks which will come into its way, and eventually because of that scratching of the surface, the rock will be converted into the fine particles of soil, and we will get the final component as the final structure of soil. So with this we are done with the basic component of soil and how exactly the soil is formed. Next we will going to take up in the next topic, next session. Till then, take care everyone and keep learning.